Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 HOSPO Health podcast. I'm Sherri Ring. I'm the Chief Happiness Officer for the Tasmanian Hospitality Association, and I'm joined this season by none other than the former Premier of Tasmania, Peter Gutwein. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Sherri, and look, thanks for inviting me. I am so thrilled to be a part of these conversations where we're going to hear stories that are going to teach us, inspire us. I think they'll make us laugh and probably make us cry as well. But it's great to be a part of it. Let's get on with it.
Let's go. Did you know adopting a growth mindset improves learning outcomes by 25% and strengthens resilience in the face of setbacks? In this episode, we'll uncover how embracing a positive and adaptable mindset can turn challenges into opportunities. Our guest today, Kath McCann, shares the mental shift that has fueled her success, the obstacles she's overcome, and the habits she's cultivated to stay focused and forward-thinking. Hi, Kath.
Good morning.
Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Kath, fantastic to have you here today. And what a great 12 months you've had as the Executive Director. The member magnet, they're calling you. But and brilliant that you're now taking on a permanent role with the Devils as the General Manager for Marketing, Public Affairs and Social Impact. So fantastic to have you on board today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, can I start with the first question? What mental shift or breakthrough had the biggest impact on your personal or professional success?
Yeah, look, I've thought a little bit about this, and as we reflect, it's for me, I guess, an opportunity to think about hopefully the habits that have become part of your day-to-day. And I remember as a young professional coming out of university and really embarking on the world of work, I was fortunate enough to undertake a leadership course, and one of the key themes that we worked through during that course was around choose your attitude. And choose your attitude has become my mantra. And, there are lots of things in our lives that we can't choose, but attitude is one. And that's been something that I've taken throughout my whole career, not just professionally, but personally. And we make decisions every day, and we can make decisions around our attitude. And for me, that's something that I've consciously taken hold of throughout my career. And I guess in terms of adding rituals and habits to choosing my attitude, the practice of gratitude has become incredibly important. So we can look at situations and we can make a conscious choice around how we're going to react to them, how we're going to attack them, and ultimately what we're going to project onto others as well, which I think is such an important part around mindset. So for me, choose your attitude, choose it consciously. And, for me, I think that's always to try and be as positive as possible. I'm a glass half full kind of person. So choosing that positive attitude to work through problems and to work through, I guess, challenges that I face is a mantra that I live by.
Yeah. And I'd probably say you're a glass overflowing, actually, Kath. How do you sustain a growth mindset when you're faced with setbacks and that uncertainty?
Yeah, sometimes it's tricky, and I think we should all allow ourselves to be vulnerable to accept that sometimes, life does throw us challenges and curveballs, and it's okay sometimes to not be upbeat and not feel, super positive. But the thing that's really allowed me, and particularly more in recent times, I guess, to keep my North Star has been definition of purpose. So I made a decision, probably I'm 43 years old now, it was around my mid-30s, where I thought to myself, where am I heading? Where am I going professionally? Where am I going personally? And there's a bit of a question around what legacy do I want to leave? I did an exercise many years ago around writing my own obituary. It sounds a little bit morbid, and I can see you both smiling, but we get to that stage where if we sit back and think, what would we want people to say about us when they're writing that obituary, online or, on Facebook or Instagram or of course in the traditional print media, what would you want them to say? And it's almost an opportunity to do a little bit of a stock take or an audit. Am I the things that they're saying, are they what I want them to say? And am I actually behaving in a way, and my actions, I guess, really encouraging not only myself but others to see that and those, I guess, attributes and traits and characteristics in me. So defining my purpose has been incredibly important, and I spent a lot of time doing that because what I did, I think, was make a conscious decision that to get to your purpose is a journey, I do believe. But if you've got a defined purpose, it allows you the opportunity to consciously think about every decision you make to get you closer to your purpose. And so that's been really, I guess, useful for me. Now, when times are tough or, challenges are thrown your way, if you truly know that what you're doing is aligned to your purpose, it makes it incredibly easy, I guess, to overcome and to work through those challenges. So that's been really, really important to me. The other thing is simplicity. So when we look at big goals, and I think we can look at big goals and be somewhat overawed by big goals. Someone once told me that for every major goal, you should have 7 minor goals. And you probably could even have more than 7. But I think it's important message to say, have a major goal, but really break it down and celebrate the success and the journey along the way, because we don't get to, getting our true purpose or achieving major goals without having minor achievements. And for me, that's really important because it keeps me moving. I'm the type of person that loves a bit of a checklist. I like to get stuff done. I'm that type of person. So in order to do that, it's really important that I've got goals and I can keep moving towards it. And I guess the last thing is having people around you that help you stay the course. And I've been really fortunate professionally and personally. I think once you've defined your purpose, you've articulated it to those that you trust, whether that be your mentors or your colleagues or, those people that you really do trust. I think they can keep you to account and also really, encourage you on your journey. And staying the course is easy when things are good. Staying the course, of course, gets a little bit trickier when challenges are thrown your way. But for me, a defined purpose, clear goals that are nicely broken down, and I guess a corner, if you like, surrounded by those that help me stay the course has been incredibly, incredibly powerful for me as I've journeyed through my career.
Well, that's just simply brilliant. That's a great way that you've expressed that. Can I just ask you one question, because I'm sure our listeners will want to understand this as well. How often do you review your big goals?
Oh, regularly. Yeah, really regularly. And I don't, I'm not the type of person who sits down for a New Year's resolution and says, I'm going to write all these goals and I do it on an annualised basis. It's constant for me. And I think having that purpose is the purpose really is a light on the hill, and the goals kind of sit all around that. So, yeah, I'm constantly reevaluating and just making sure I'm moving forward as well. So I think when you get into a goal-setting mindset and a goal-setting habit, that is the case. And I couldn't encourage people more to do that. I mean, one of the things I do really regularly is I run in running events. And it might sound a little bit superficial and funny, and everyone says to me, what's your next event? But I just love it. It gives me something to work through. I work back and I've got really, really clear goals. It's just a constant, it's a ritual of behaviour. And I think reviewing and really just calibrating constantly is an important habit to get into.
And can I just go back to that purpose part? I think when you're aligned, you're doing things that are aligned with your purpose, that kind of work-life balance melds together. It becomes, it's a lot easier to turn up each day to work, for instance.
Oh, absolutely. And as I say, when I defined my purpose, it was a really big moment in my life, because it kind of spelt to my legacy and who I am as a person, and it makes things a lot clearer. But gee, it helps your decision making, because it just gives you, is it not? Is it taking me closer? It makes it kind of, I guess, breaks through a lot of the clutter around the world where we do have conflicting things and, a lot of stimulus coming at us all the time. So I'm a big believer in fusion between work and personal life, and you do need to manage it. You need to create barriers, there's no doubt. But I think your purpose, from my perspective, it covers across personal and professional. So, they all say, we've all heard it. If you're doing something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And for me, that is your purpose, because it is the thing that drives you, and it's deep inside and so incredibly important to have defined.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Now, can you share something else, a specific challenge that required you to reframe your perspective to overcome it?
Yeah, so I found myself in a job that I probably wasn't enjoying, and I probably wasn't achieving as much as I could have been, and I'd probably run my race in it. And I'd be the first person to speak to colleagues and friends and say, look, if you're not happy or you're floundering, just leave. It's not compulsory to work in that environment. You're in charge of your own destiny. And I think, we find ourselves professionally, and I know I certainly have, where it's kind of easy to dish out that kind of advice. But sometimes you've got to put a mirror up to yourself and say, hey, what about you, Kath? What decisions are you making? So I was in a position where I had a really great job, but as I said, I'd probably run my race. So I made a decision to quit, and I had nothing to go to. Pete, this might be familiar
That
to
sounds
you.
like something pretty similar.
Yeah, and it was at the time, it felt like a really brave decision and something that I probably thought too long about, to be honest. But it was one of the most wonderful decisions I made, not just for myself, but certainly, for the staff I was leading, for the organisation I was working for, and ultimately my family as well. And when you make those decisions, it's incredibly liberating. I think you find the belief in yourself. You kick yourself into action. I had to be working financially. That was something that I had to be doing. But I had to stop and believe in myself and I guess, put things into action to find myself new employment, to define my purpose, to make sure the next step I was making was something where I didn't find myself in that situation again. So, from what was a situation that, I felt like really brave, if I look back now, I sort of think to myself, if I found myself in that situation again, I'd probably do it earlier. Because things will pan out, things will be okay. And I often say to people, there's a reason on the aeroplane they say fit your own gas mask before helping others. If you've got yourself well and healthy and you can step back, you're amazed at what you're able to achieve and what you're able to give. So it was a situation where, as I said, I'd be the first one to dish out advice, but putting that, mirror up to myself and saying, come on, Kath, you're better than this. And making that decision was, one of the greatest reflections professionally that I have.
Yeah, I love that analogy. So given that mirror, how has your mindset evolved over the years and what advice would you give to others that are coming into those leadership positions now?
Yeah, well, I've talked about purpose. I think that's really important. And I would encourage anyone listening to, it's not an easy thing to do and you can't just sit down and write your purpose and that's it. I think it is a bit of a journey. But I would encourage people to genuinely think about the thing that really lights their fire, the thing that makes them, really satisfied when they're at their very best. And also, sometimes it's also good to think about when you're not at your best because that often helps enlighten your purpose. So I'd encourage people to have a think about that. And, that might involve talking to other people and, going on a bit of a journey to find your purpose. Because I don't think that's something that just falls out of the sky and you woke up one day and go, aha, there it is. Well, maybe for some people that might happen, but that wasn't the case for me. I think simplicity is really important. And simplicity for me is achieved by goal setting and to the question reframing. So, breaking things down because the executive director role at the Tasmania Football Club, when someone said to me at the start, how big is your whiteboard? And it was a bit like that. It's like trying to eat an elephant. Pete, you're the Premier of our state. If you look at that task en masse, it could become quite overwhelming. But I think if you get into really good habits around goal setting and really simplifying and breaking down, that'll keep you moving forward. And I think that's incredibly important. Another really important thing for me, and I've got better at this, I'd probably say early in my career and even midway through my career, my resilience probably wasn't as good as it could have been. And I'm a pleaser. So I like to be friends with people and relationships are really important to me. But as I've journeyed through my career, I've realised that you actually don't need to be friends with everyone and that's okay. And in leadership and decision making, I think many are actually attracted to those that can make decisions. But importantly for me, it's, really making them in a fair, in a respectful and in a manner where people have the opportunity to be part of decision making. So that's been an evolving journey for me. And I think, really lifting my resilience has been an important part of my development. We know the world of social media and, there's commentary left, right and centre about all of us. And it's actually okay, but you do need to determine and develop, I think, strategies and tools to be able to manage that. That's really important. And probably the last thing for me is I love nothing more than being part of a team. So success is no fun on your own, and actually failure is even worse when you're on your own. I think we would all agree. So as I've evolved through my career, I just love nothing more than surrounding myself with people that are sharing a purpose and a drive. We don't all have to agree, and in fact, I think we would all agree our best results are when people do actually share different perspectives. But, working alongside great people and working together and celebrating success, look, simply as I've evolved through my career, that is so important to me. And I guess, if I looked at new opportunities into the future, the people I'm working alongside and with would probably be one of the top of the list criteria that I'd want to tick off on.
Well, shall we jump into the quick five?
Let's do it.
Okay. First one. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received and how has it shaped your journey?
Yeah, this one was easy for me. I can't remember who gave me this advice, but it was, Kath, you can have everything in life, just not at once. And I just love that advice because life is about choices. So for me, that's been important. I was a young mum working in some professional roles. And I think particularly for women, you can have everything, just not at once. So be comfortable with your decisions that you make. And just remember there's only one person that has to back your decisions, and that's you.
That's a great answer. Kath, number 2, what's a misconception about you that you wish people understood?
Well, people probably think I'm a wild extrovert. I'm bubbly and I love to be chatting in relationships, but I reckon I'm almost a bit of a closet introvert. I love my own space. I love running and being in my own head. So as much as I, really, really love those outward-facing roles and, conversations and relationships, I do fatigue. Sleep is really important to me. So it might be a bit of a misconception, but who knows? Maybe people know. Maybe they know. Maybe they knew before I did.
Now, if you could go back in time, number 3, what's one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self?
It's not linear. Yeah, so for me and my former role before the footy club was with the Beacon Foundation, and I think this is one of the things that we particularly talk to young people about is as we look to the future, it's not a linear trajectory that one goes in. You'll zig and you'll zag, and sometimes you go backwards to go forwards, and that's okay. I think, just having the confidence to know that as long as you're moving, to me, I think that's really important. That's okay.
Yeah. How do you hope to be remembered, both personally and professionally? This goes back to the obituary.
Yeah, the obituary question. So when I think about that, I'd like to be remembered as being kind. I think that's really important. I'd like to be remembered as being generous of self, being open to others. I'd like to be remembered as being positive. I think people look for positivity, and I think more and more so in the world we live in, they look for positivity. And the last thing, and it's probably not the most important, but it's something that I value. I'd love people to remember me as being productive, just getting stuff done. I like talking about stuff, but I really love getting in and doing it.
I think you've nailed all of those, Kath.
Well, one last one. What's a book, film or experience that profoundly influenced your outlook on life or work?
Yeah, so it's a personal experience for me. And at the age of 35, I had a cervical cancer scare. I found myself in a situation. I had to, have a full hysterectomy, and it was an opportunity for me to stop and gain perspective. And that experience has really shaped me because what I learnt, and as I reflect, is it's easy in life to gain perspective. It's really hard to keep it. So one of the things that I constantly remind myself is of that perspective, and we've all had experiences in our lives that give it to us, but we do get back on that hamster wheel. And how do we find strategies and tactics and tools to make sure that we go back to those moments and we remember what we committed to ourselves, and we start thinking about, our next steps and our mindset off the basis of that.
That's fantastic. That's been just unbelievable hearing those answers, Kath. I'll ask you one very quick last one. What do you think of the Chief Happiness Officer at the Australian Open?
Oh, my heart just exploded. The joy, the simplicity and the joy, and just to see, this young John, it just gives me goosebumps thinking about just to see genuine, simple love and happiness. Is there anything more? And I think, we're all on that quest, and I, see that young boy I think that is happiness encapsulated. We all need more of that.
Yeah, we sure do. Brilliant. I think everyone on this earth probably, if they had to choose one thing, would want happiness.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Kath. It's been amazing having you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and good luck with the series.